It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate, oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV movies and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
And my name is Mike.
And this week we've got all the Superman set photos you could ever want. I'm pretty sure I've not put this many links in a show before, Mike, for photos. So
somebody over at Just Jared opened up the telephoto lens locker and I was like, "We're getting all of these bad boys this week."
I only think one of these photos is a Just Jared photo. Thankfully, it doesn't have that. It has a yellow border around it, but the other ones are pretty good. But
the iconic yellow border.
Yeah, iconic yellow border. When you know, you know. A new Deadpool popcorn bucket debuted today, Mike, and I sent that to you immediately because we have to talk about it.
Yes, I woke up to it. I woke up to it fresh from my slumber to see a new popcorn bucket. Exactly how I like.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited to go over it. We also have confirmation that Marvel is coming back to SDCC next month, but you're probably listening to this on a Monday, so it's this month because we're on the cusp of July here. And more.
Yes, summer is figuratively and literally heating up. We are all getting prepared to, I don't know, melt. Look for the closest shade. Do whatever we can do to survive before Deadpool hits theaters.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, I know everyone kind of lives in different bubbles and different worlds and everything, but I swear after Inside Out 2 hit that record breaking box office just recently, that was something that I kept saying all through the pandemic, and as we were kind of leaving and getting out of it, we're not truly going to be kind of back until a movie breaks a non-pandemic record, right? We were talking about all of these things of the best debut since 2020, the best post-pandemic showing. It's like, no,
asterisk, yeah.
Yeah. We want the pandemic aside. And now that cat's out of the bag, now it kind of feels like everything could be possible, and maybe Hollywood could possibly heal itself.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the first Pixar movie not to go straight to streaming since the pandemic?
It's been a while. It's funny, we've been kind of dabbling in some Disney animation and Pixar stuff just recently in the house, and we threw on Turning Red last night, and I just loved that movie so much, and it's such a shame that it really never got a chance to prove itself at the box office. I just would have loved to seen just an amazing headline from this movie just really smash box office. I don't know if it ever would have made a record or not. It's hard to tell. You'd never know, but it's just such a good movie, and it's just wow, this went straight to streaming. The kids movies that go straight to streaming are these weird things on Netflix that I've never heard of and never watched. It's so weird in concept now to think of a Pixar movie. And it's kind of funny too. We were watching Turning Red last night, and I just go can you believe that there's a possibility that maybe if Chapek was still in power, that Inside Out 2 could have hit Disney Plus exclusively, and they just would have left hundreds of millions of dollars on the table?
I think it passed $1 billion this weekend, so it's literally $1 billion movie out there. Well, I am speaking on. So the three movies that went straight to streaming were Soul, Luca, and Turning Red. I always forget about Soul and Luca, but Lightyear and Elemental were the two afterwards that did not go straight to streaming. And Elemental proved last year that if you leave a movie in the theaters long enough, it will in fact make a lot of money over time. So kudos to them. But yeah, June 16th was Elemental. June 14th, they're literally doing one Pixar movie a year right now, and I think that's a good strategy, right? It makes you remember, oh, this is why I like these, and you got to come back and watch them, because I really enjoyed Inside Out 2 when we watched it. I have rewatched it since then actually, and had a really good time revisiting that even. So I'm absolutely can agree with that, and I think really what the thing is here, we are in the week of the 4th of July, and usually 9 out of 10 times I don't think we ever did, but a lot of people take vacations in July, right? Like family vacations to either cap off the summer or those extended weeks, because obviously when the 4th of July hits, you get a day off, maybe 2 days. So I think that's really, really cool for people to do that and go to theaters. I know there's a concert. The band Ghost has a concert movie like in theaters called Right Here, Right Now. That's been doing the rounds the past couple weeks. So there's a lot of choices out there. Is there also a horror film? Quiet Place Day One. That was the other one that came out recently as well. That is doing well.
That just it made like 90 something million this weekend on a relatively lower budget. So they've already kind of profited at least off the production budget, and I don't really know if the marketing budget was that high.
They say it's the best one of the franchise so far. And I know the other ones were, kind of smaller. So that's really good. And I would also say, to your point, Mike, we were talking about ice cream and melting. I don't know if it was on the show yet or right before, but literally it is so hot out. I would look for a reason to go to the movie theater and just sit in a dark, cool place for a couple hours.
This is a great segue. We're talking about, the joys of summer, and all I've been doing is staying inside and participating in the video games. I said I would update everybody as I progress through Fallout 4. I feel like I'm finally starting to hit my stride. I'm trying out like new weapons. I'm opening up the skill tree a little bit more, figuring out what I want to level up. I'm getting some more of those more quirky, unique weapons that are fun experimenting with, and I'm kind of figuring out how I personally like to play the game. So I'm enjoying kind of going off on side missions, which I don't know I ever would have done on my own unless they kind of brought up a joke about it in the Fallout TV show. It was Walton Goggins being the ghoul, and he said like, "Oh, you always get." What did he say? Something like you always get distracted in like the
the side quest. Yeah. He's like, the big creature ate the vials, or she crushed the vials, but it ate the head. So he's like, we got to go do other things, kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. So I've been kind of embracing the side quests. Usually in kind of open world games like this, I'm like, I just want to play the story. Let's just get the storyline going. But I'm kind of having fun just like walking around. Going into a random abandoned building, and then I realize, I haven't really started the quest line here just yet, but I can kind of rummage around and see what's happening. All these like mysterious locked safes are fun to pick, and I've just been having a fun time. So I thought I'd give everyone an update of a game that I almost dropped into the garbage because it was just too intense for me, which is a high learning curve. I'm glad I figured it out. And then all of a sudden, speaking about bubbles and social media, I was under the assumption that maybe live streaming on TikTok was kind of done and over with, because I just hadn't seen a lot of live streaming pop up in my feed at all. But I think I just must have told TikTok in some either explicit or non-explicit way that I just don't want to see live streams anymore, and they just didn't show them to me.
And from a production point of view, TikTok launched a dedicated live app, streaming app, I think maybe 2 weeks ago as well. So there's probably going to be an increased amount of that as well as they push out this dedicated app for that.
Yeah, but the algorithm definitely knows that I like Elden Ring, and the expansion DLC for Elden Ring just came out recently. So now I swear like every other swipe is people trying to fight this really hard version of the boss Radahn in this new expansion pack. And it's so funny because I'm so used to watching like late game Elden Ring playthroughs of like people that are savants at the game and they can basically play it blindfolded. So now seeing people attack new parts of the game that they don't know how to master yet, and they just keep dying. I'm like, this is a little less entertaining for me to watch of people just dying in a row.
Then these are regular people playing.
Yes. And then the algorithm just keeps going, serving me up more video games. I was just telling Chris I was addicted to a stream this morning of two guys playing Chain Together, which is, if you're unfamiliar with this game, it's just the most incredibly vertical platformer that you can imagine. Like, you're literally traversing the depths of hell to like the heavens, and you just have to platform all the way up there, and you're chained together and you have to communicate. And like, it's just been on and off my whole morning. I'll take a couple hours break, pop my phone back open, the stream will pop back up in my feed. The same guys still tackling the same level. So I don't know what my kind of hypothesis or summary here is, or how I end this book report or essay. But
yeah.
video games have been getting into my life more recently.
It is easy. So the outside of summer days are kind of dwindling down a little bit as it gets hotter, right? That's what I think the point is. And there are new games to play like Chained Together and Shadow of the Erd Tree, I think is that what it's called. Mm-hmm. Obviously there's a Metallica version in Fortnite right now. It's like remember Guitar Hero? Like you play Guitar Hero, but the lowest scores get kicked off every round after every song. So it's like a battle royale of playing songs. So that's pretty cool. I have been actually dabbling in retro games yet again because I love to do that. And I've been playing the hell out of Pokemon, the trading card game for Game Boy Color. And I don't know if you ever played that one or not, but I don't know how they were able to transfer Pokemon card art into a Game Boy screen. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's the card. Like, I don't know how they did this, but they must have had a great art team to really capitalize on those color displays back in the day. There was a sequel released in Japan to that game, but it never made it to America. But someone did translate a version of it, so I'm trying to play the translated version next because I think it's fun along the way. Because I remember going to Toys R Us and buying Pokemon cards, Mike, and that's going to bring us to.
I see what you're doing.
I'm doing a transition. So there are two trailers in the top of our show notes, and I shared these with Mike. No one else. I was up late, I think, when I saw these two. It had to been like 11 to 12 midnight here, and I'm sharing them with Mike because obviously there's a big time difference. But one of them is that Toys R Us has a little trailer, and I believe it's called The Origin of Toys R Us, and it is made completely in fucking AI and using Sora's technology from ChatGPT, and this is the most unsettling video I've ever seen in my life, Mike.
There's just so much to unpack here in a sense of like, first of all, you have to remember that Toys R Us kind of isn't really a company anymore. Like, it's really just its namesake was bought up by another company. I think it was like a hedge fund, or one of those like big corporate conglomerates or something like that.
I think just the U.S. branch, but yes, I think there's still Toys R Us in other countries, kind of like how Kmart exists. Yeah. But like, absolutely, like, you're not going to find a Toys R Us store in America right now.
So it's kind of weird opening up like a YouTube page that says Toys R Us, and then this is like supposed to be an official commercial, but it's like an official commercial for a brand that is almost defunct in a way. So it's like they're just trying to do anything, I feel like, to generate buzz around the name. So I would say the story would be slightly different if Toys R Us was like still like a brick and mortar like establishment like it was.
And even at the top of his game, right? Like back when people would go there, like even like it is dwindling. Like at the end, I'm like, this wouldn't sell me that Toys R Us was going to live afterwards. And then to literally use one of the most unsettling AI I've ever seen to create this weird little video about how a dude saw a toy giraffe and was like, I want to make toys.
It's so weird. I mean, obviously from like a technical point of view, it's pretty marveling that, a piece of software can generate, moving imagery, because that has got to be incredibly intensive. Like I gotta picture the power grid was strained by so many graphics cards trying to render even this super short like teaser commercial.
I keep counting fingers. I keep counting fingers. I'm like, have they mastered the hands yet?
Yeah, and I'm curious exactly how they achieved a little bit of consistency in it. There are inconsistencies for sure in it. There's like a shot where they're showing the kid and then they kind of go over the shoulder, but then the person's on the wrong side of the screen, so they're like invalidating the 180-degree rule. So for what it's doing, it's impressive, but also, like you mentioned, it's incredibly unsettling because AI is getting us extremely close to like kind of getting out of the uncanny valley, but I truly don't think it's something that you can ever get out of. Like you can get a little closer to leaving it, you can get halfway closer to leaving it, and then another halfway, but you'll never truly escape it. And I've been thinking about this a lot as a professional creative, and I've talked to other people as well. And from my point of view, I don't necessarily think that our generation and above are people that are going to necessarily fall for it or go out of their way to watch AI generated like imagery, right? I think what's going to happen, it's going to be people like my kid who's going to be born into a world of AI and just think it's normal and just mundane and run of the mill. And what are they going to prefer to watch? Are they going to want to watch something that takes an entire year for a second season to come out? Or are they going to want to watch something where, oh, the second season is going to be here in like 4 or 5 weeks? Like, remember when we were kids growing up and we were like just desperately waiting for Japan to make the next season of an anime that we were getting? And like, I'm just thinking now, like even Attack on Titan, I remember people fervently waiting for things to get done so they can watch it. Like, imagine like a production company using AI to like crank these things out faster. I don't think it's visually going to look as good, but I think the problem is the next generation is just not going to care as much as we do, and that's what makes me a little bit nervous. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't have your cynicism. Absolutely not. I think there are ways that this can enhance workflows. We've used AI on the show to enhance some of our stuff on the way out, right? Like the editing stuff, the things, but I don't think it's going to be a whole movie of it, because here's the thing. We're not at the point where any of these people talk yet. When you watch, there are small glitches in the frames. Like if you go through frame by frame, you're like, oh, his cheek wobbles, like the around it, or the ear stuff wobbles. So it's not perfect yet. This is more of a demo reel, but like, what a weird company to make a demo reel with. Like, I really think, to me, what I'm like impressed with, I'm like, oh, if I don't have an outside exterior shot, if I'm making a movie, Mike, right? Because my mind goes to movie making right away. Oh, they did a really good job generating an outside 1950s looking like exterior of a building. Like, I'm pretty sure if you look really closely, other than the word bicycle shop, all the other letters are just text that like an AI doesn't know how to generate. Like it just kind of throws some stuff in there. And I'm like, oh, this would be great if I needed to fake an exterior shot because I don't have the money or the means to build one really fast or effectively. But I don't think you can do a whole thing like this. And I would be very interested to see how they handle, again, talking and the finer details, because it's not there yet. But this is a very intriguing, I guess, demo reel of like using Sora, which is, you know, the AI that ChatGPT has to make videos, to kind of show something off here. Because the kid, if you watch this, the kid, his hair, the whole face changes. It's not the same kid throughout because it's obviously generated per each one. So to me, I don't have the sense that it's going to take over, but I'm very curious how it could maybe enhance productions. Maybe we're going to see, we talked about tentpoles, budgets, blowing things up, but I want to see what the little man can do, right? The new upcoming Blumhouse productions, how are they utilizing some AI to make their films better and cheaper, but not just making an AI film at the end of the day, right? That's a Sharknado. That's the next Sharknado is going to be AI kind of thing. If to bring up something that's like a very C-level film that utilizes that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact sentiment of this thing that I read. It was very short and succinct, and I wish I could remember exactly how it went. But it was AI was supposed to make it easier and give me more time to create art, but now it's just doing it for me or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but I agree. I love it when it's an additive feature and makes workflows easier. But I just think just typing in a prompt and it does it for you. Like there's like no satisfaction there unless like, or, you know, lack of a better term, you're getting your hands dirty. That's like the satisfaction of getting something done and like getting that aha moment and like, oh, it looks great. So as long as we're steering towards that direction,
oh yeah,
I love
absolutely, yeah. But I think that it will go through an uprising of corporations shoving it down our throats and ruining AI for us before it gets to that point where it's like, okay, it's an enhancement rather than this is awful. We're not going to get, what was it, the Willy Wonka experience they had over in Ireland? That was AI generated. It's going to take a lot of failures for people to be like, all right, this is not the one button, push button answer. It is a tool to help us get there. But that brings me to my next video link we have in here. And this was unsettling, but in a different way. And it's the trailer for Robert Zemeckis', I believe, right? It's a Zemeckis movie called Here, featuring Tom Hanks and Robin Wright of Forrest Gump fame. And it is a film shot entirely from one camera location through the history of the Earth up until a family builds a house here. and we get to see multiple generations of this family come through this house, and it is wild to watch this movie, because it starts off like, oh, there's things around this house, there's big moments, but then like there's clips of like, oh, the prehistoric times, like, right, there's dinosaurs. This camera is just a fixed point in this world through millions of years, and I don't you said very specifically it's gonna hit you right in the feels, I think is what you said. Yeah,
it's gonna devastate me. I mean, the trailer kind of gives a little bit of a spoiler away, where it shows Tom Hanks and Robin Wright as an old elderly couple, kind of like overlooking the kind of main family living room that the camera is in. So unless that's like a fake out, my assumption is that they live until the end of the movie. But like, you can already tell that there's going to be like a shot in this movie where we're used to seeing one character all the time, then all of a sudden it jumps forward and that character's not there anymore and everyone's sad. You know, there's definitely going to be like a mourning or a wake in that room, and like Zemeckis, he's going to really go for it. It seems very emotionally charged, but also this is one of those movies in a way that almost couldn't exist until now, because they're de-aging the hell out of everybody. I would assume if they are within like 5 feet of this camera, they get de-aged. And if they're back far enough, they can probably just add some makeup to it.
And then, as you mentioned, aged up even, right? With the older Tom Hanks and Robin Wright shot that is in this trailer. A lot of CG stuff like this. This feels like, to me, and this is not a complaint, but like this feels like a stage play on film, because like a stage play, literally you have a stage and you act in front of that stage, and it feels like the stage, the house, this location is the main character and everyone exists around it. So it feels like a stage play kind of brought to life. But it is an interesting, is it a gimmick? Is it a premise of holding here? Because obviously we're going through, I believe it's whoever plays Jarvis, Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany's in here. They even showed the building of this. You know, he's like a military man who owns a home, and Tom Hanks is his son, and who marries Robin Wright. You know, I don't know what to take from it. I don't know if I'll watch it in theaters, but I love the swing of like, we're not moving the camera at all. Everything else will change around this camera, but this camera, this angle, this view of this room and the world right here will be all you see for this movie. And I'm excited to watch that. I don't know if, like I said, maybe not a theater thing. I don't want to cry in public, Mike. I gotta hold those feelings in. But it looks interesting.
I'd love to see the behind the scenes, right? Because I'm under no assumption that a camera is just slapped on a tripod and then a big sign is put on it that says, please don't touch, you know, for the next 4 months. But I got to imagine there's a little bit of that going on, right? I'm sure there's some like digital, like, you know, camera work and like nudging and moving around. But I got to imagine, if you were like our director sitting down, plotting out how to film this movie, it probably is. We need a big sound stage. We need to set up a camera and tell nobody to touch it. And then for some more of the elaborate shots, I'm sure it is like when they showed like the prehistoric era and then like the plants growing. Obviously, that's not real. They could just like build that into the shot.
Well, to me, if I'm going to be completely, I think they've built this multiple times, because you have like the fifth, or the, I guess the 70s, 80s looking house, the really, really old, the original house that had no electricity. Whereas, but I think there's multiple sets, and they just line up the set a little bit more, because filming, like looking at the shots here in this is like a huge room if you look at the amount of floor space they're going to walk on. So it's probably a stretched out backwards set to do it what's called like forced perspective, to make it look bigger than it really is. So it's probably larger and kind of gets bigger set pieces in the back. I agree. I would love to see the making of, but this trailer kind of caught me off guard, because I'm like, why is everyone talking about here? Oh, it's because the camera never moves, and this is an interesting thing. Much like, you know, there are movies that do like the non-breaking shot, right? I think we'll have breaking shots here, but I could see them doing this. And then we also posited the idea, what if, you know, again, the end of the movie isn't them, it actually jumps forward into the future, right? Like how many years forward will it go?
Jump forward to the heat death of the universe. I want to see the sun explode and take out the Earth.
Absolutely. From right here, nowhere else though. We're gonna see that. But check out those trailer links in here. I think they're very interesting, and you know, just something a little different. But let's jump into the news, Mike. First and foremost, you've nailed it with our images here. There are set photos of Superman currently filming in Cleveland. James Gunn is there. All the actors are there. and we're going to go with the most important one first. We have actor Eddie Gathegi, who plays Mr. Terrific. He is on set with a box of milk bones. And why are those milk bones important, Mike?
Well, it seems like you are postulating a crypto dog.
Yes. So we've heard Krypto's in this movie. If he's got milk bones, he's probably feeding a dog, and probably Krypto. So I'm going to guess Krypto's CG in this. No dog was seen on set, Mike. So I don't know how they're going to do a super dog at the end of the day. But I'm excited to see this. This is a really fun little thing that only I think James Gunn could pull off, simply because he's done CG animals for so long, right? With Guardians of the Galaxy, he did obviously the humanoid weasel in Suicide Squad. I'm very excited for this.
There's also there is an entirely CG dog. Like was it Cosmo? Is that what he called?
Yeah. There's Cosmo in that, but like he's used to playing with those characters, right? Like this is no stranger for him. So
Now this one is I feel like a little bit of a deep pull, because I was doing some of my own on-set photo research and I didn't come across this one. So good eye, sir.
Yeah, of course. Gotta have a dog in a movie. It makes a better movie. Moving on to also Mr. Terrific, we have a really close-up shot here, and you're going to see a little thing on his front of his thing that looks like some sort of tech company logo. It looks like the Magento logo from Adobe's Commerce. But if you pull back, I've included a sign that is on set from Samsung and a company called Lord Tech. We offer the largest selection of Lord Tech electronics products. Lord Tech is run by Maxwell Lord, who was played by the Mandalorian. It's one of those days I'm going to forget names, Mike. I apologize already. Oh my gosh, Last of Us. Who plays the Mandalorian?
No, yeah, and soon to be Mr. Fantastic. Why can't I remember?
Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal.
There you go.
People
I did the letter P was arriving in my brain.
Yeah, so originally played by Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 84, but will be played by Sean Gunn in this. But you see the Lord Tech logo there is all the same logo that is on Mr. Terrific's shirt or suit here, meaning that these are probably corporate sponsored superheroes in this world, Mike, along the way.
Okay.
I would say maybe not quite Avengers Tony Stark level, but we'll kind of see as they kind of get in there. One of the most interesting shots, I would say, to me, is this shot we have here of Clark Kent on set. Not Superman proper, but the human version of Clark Kent blending in with all the other people in the city. And as you specifically said, he has his broccoli haircut that all the kids have these days.
He's got the Gen Z broccoli hair, which is really wild. I wasn't expecting that, especially because, what does he do after he goes from Superman to Clark Kent? Does he have to go to the hairdresser to get a perm every time he wants the broccoli hair back? I mean, I guess I don't really have any bad things to say about it, but it is kind of funny to see Chris, the older we get, the younger versions of the characters that we were used to kind of do have to match the world that they're being filmed in. So I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see him here with his glasses on. He's got, some glasses he's wearing pretty low on his nose. He does look very drastically different than his Superman photos, right? Like a little, maybe more disheveled, a little less confident. He's not smiling. So I would love to see that juxtaposition of his secret identity, if you will, or civilian persona Clark Kent versus Superman. And it also looks like maybe Superman has more of a tan as well. Maybe they've goldened him up a bit to make him look drastically different. But without motion, we can't say much. But it is interesting to see that they went very much like, oh, he's got a very drastically different hairstyle rather than just throwing glasses on him. Let's get into some of the deeper cuts here. So we have a video, actually, that they're filming, and it shows Superman being handcuffed and apprehended by 3 characters, including, I actually wrote the notes here, Rick Flag Sr., the engineer, and then another character in a black suit, which we are assuming is Ultraman because of the big U on his chest, as you look at him. He kind of has that black noir look from The Boys, right?
The Boys, yeah.
And then so after you watch the video, you can click the link underneath and see a close-up version of this character, and we think it is Ultraman. And the reason we think it is Ultraman, Mike, is I don't remember a couple months ago we talked about that the rumors Lex Luthor is possibly cloning Superman and the villain in this will be a clone of Superman that they call Ultraman. So it looks like they're masking this character's identity up until the movie comes out, even with this suit.
Yeah. I wonder, kind of what our story here for the film is supposed to be wrapping around this. Like, how close are we into the first act, second act? We're looking at third act stuff here happening in front of the Daily Planet out here. I don't know. The fact that there's corporate sponsored superheroes, and we know Superman is kind of not coming of age, but coming into the role in a world where heroes already exist. I'm imagining a pre-existing world where heroes are out here, kind of corporate sponsored, not totally unlike like My Hero Academia or like a boys kind of universe, something kind of like that. And then there's a new player on the stage named Superman who comes in. He's a Boy Scout. He believes in truth and justice and the American way, doesn't want to be chained down by any sort of like governmental body, not unlike Captain America once he goes rogue, not signing the Sokovia Accords. So maybe that's why we see this response, from like Lord and these other heroes of just like, hey, you can't be this unchecked superhero. We're going to have to like bring you in. I could kind of maybe see that being the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. We have literally no idea. But moving on to the next photo underneath this, I just want to show off. We have Rick Flag Sr., played by, can't think of his, I'm having the actor's name thing. He was in Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Crossbones, right?
Yeah, Crossbones. So it's the same actor who played Crossbones. He is Rick Flag Sr. in this, who we know he will also be the voice of the character in the animated show, Creature Commandos, and show up in Peacemaker. And he's standing with the actress who was playing the Engineer, part of the Authority, the other hero group that is in this movie. And it looks like Superman is like been knocked out on the ground somehow. You see the red boots and the blue suit. So I don't know what's happening. Obviously, if she's there, she's part of the Authority. She's probably got some sort of, maybe it's kryptonite, maybe something else to apprehend him. Obviously, it looks like there are U.S. military people with him as well. So the U.S. government is probably sponsoring some of these other heroes. So there's a lot going on that we're learning from these set photos, or at least hypothesizing. But like this movie, from what we knew very little of 2 weeks ago to now, I'm like, oh my God, we're seeing so much. I'm so excited to get into this. Again, I think, without seeing a trailer, without knowing the story, it's hard to not be excited. Again, I think we know James Gunn can do great work. He did amazing stuff in Guardians of the Galaxy, the Suicide Squad, so hopefully he can knock it out of the park here, because I think DC needs a win, Mike. They need a good win. This is making me feel good seeing all this stuff. It's got real sets, real people. They're really leaning into more superheroes than just the DC world being Batman and Superman, right? With the dash of Wonder Woman.
It gives me like a little nostalgia for like maybe like 2014, back in the day when the future wasn't written in stone for superhero cinematic universe, and we were just going off of what we were seeing from these shots from 4 blocks, down the street, trying to get in. Like, all these photos are incredibly grainy if you haven't seen any of them yet. So you can tell that people are trying their best to get their shots in. Yeah. But I'm curious if maybe there's enough here that there's, at the very least, some footage shown at Comic-Con, maybe to Hall H, that maybe the public doesn't get to see. A teaser trailer would be fun, like in the true sense of a teaser trailer, where you have a logo reveal, and like a couple shots, of the heroes. And I
think we're due for that, because James Gunn has revealed the suit was met with mixed reactions, right? Like, and now the next thing we have are all these set photos. So I think we could get a small clip, even if it's a demo clip, not necessarily a final clip, at Comic-Con, and I would love to see it, because we are a less than a year away, right? This is June of next year. So I think we are in that moment where they can show us some actual footage and not have to kind of hold back a little bit, because the news is making the rounds. And I would just love to dive into that myself. But you bring up a good point, Mike. Unless you had anything else about these photos you wanted to talk about, San Diego Comic-Con is less than a month away.
Yeah, what a great segue.
Yes, thank you.
I built in just for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's I haven't been in a while. It's kind of a bummer. I feel like I miss out. I get some FOMO when I haven't been there in a minute. It's so close. I could go back, but man, things are busy in life right now. But I would love to be back on the mean streets of downtown San Diego.
Oh, absolutely. Being there in LA with you a couple weeks ago gave me like, oh, I'm just so close. It's so close to get down to San Diego. But San Diego Comic-Con's on the edge. We have a lot of stuff that'll probably come up that week. It'll be a big show. Mike will probably have a child that week, so we'll see. Hopefully he can be here. But the biggest thing is Marvel Studios has confirmed they are returning to Hall H. And I have heard through very good sources that this will be movie-focused as well at San Diego Comic-Con and save television for the D23 Expo, which is also this year later in the fall. And that has me kind of excited to see what has changed since the last big reveal, right? Last year they didn't really go because of the actor strike. They had a couple little things, nothing huge, just kind of reiterating things. So we didn't have, with the writers and actor strike, we didn't have anything last year. So we're really operating on 2 to 3 year old data. And since then we know that Marvel / Disney have retooled their television department. They have retooled how they're making some of their movies. People are very curious where Blade is after 5. This is a 5-year mark for Blade being announced, Mike, and nothing has come of it yet. So I'm expecting a few announcements to kind of fill in those gaps, but I don't expect any announcements for anything past Avengers Secret Wars. Like, unless it's X-Men, but like, that's a whole different beast in and of itself, right? Like X-Men can be talked about without touching anything else. So is there anything that you hope they come and bring up? Like, I know we've talked about Young Avengers in theory on the show, Shang-Chi 2, because you just revisited it, right? Maybe a Doctor Strange 3 finally being confirmed to deal with the incursions before we get to Secret Wars.
I feel like trailer for Thunderbolts for sure. We gotta get something out there for Thunderbolts for sure.
First look at the Sentry. God, please.
Yeah. Oh, that would be. I got to imagine. Is there like a teaser? Where he's kind of crouched in a corner, like half covered in shadow, but you kind of see like a hint of his maybe kind of yellow costume or something like that. I can imagine that shot for sure. Because that would be a big, you kind of almost gotta let the audience know who this character is, because the Sentry not exactly mainstream as much as you love the.
Oh, absolutely.
There might be some education out there in the world.
You've got to show him who he is, what he is, and why is he a hero / villain as well. But absolutely. And really, what is that movie? What is Thunderbolts at this point? So, I would love that. That's a good call on that one.
Yeah. And there's also a part of me that thinks, oh, this is going to be a presentation as much for the nerds in Hall H that it is also going to be for the shareholders of Disney, right? This is going to be their first chance this year to say, hey, this multi-billion-dollar franchise that was raking in dough for the last decade, it's coming back. Everything's back online. We're good to go. We've pushed past a lot of the awkward Chapek,
we've retooled his wrong. We've righted his wrongs.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, like you said, they'll have like another chance to pick up anything that they didn't talk about at D23. Now, there is one thing that I do not like about that strategy is I kind of don't want them to feel like there's still stuff left on the table. But if they are kind of doing that bifurcated, like streaming at D23 and then films at Comic-Con, then I won't feel so much that like I was left in the lurch. But I remember last time they did this, right? We were kind of like left a little wanting after Comic-Con last time that they were there, and then we just go, well, don't worry, the D23 is coming around, that'll help. Like, I'd rather be satiated by both meals, not like, oh, you got to wait a couple more weeks for your dessert,
Yeah, I think my impression from last year, and last year did leave me wanting, but I also know last year was not a D23 year. I think they need to be a little more cautious. I think the Chapek stuff was like, announce everything so everyone's happy. And I think they're going to be like, look, we're going to be focusing on, like we've talked about, existing IP, Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi. What was it? Maybe the Young Avengers might be something new that they announced. Finally, maybe get a Blade thing. We're not going to see any Fantastic Four footage because we have heard from the actors. The movie starts filming the day after Comic-Con. They fly in for Comic-Con. They're flying out to film immediately. This will also be a good weekend for them to tout the success of Deadpool 3, because that will have been out for like a week, right, by this point. So they're going to be like, look, this movie has, we're doing great. Everybody loves Deadpool, Wolverine. Maybe they announce Hugh Jackman's returning for Secret Wars at this point. Like, hey, we know you loved him in the movies. We're going to bring him back one more time as his last go kind of thing. They could even do that if that's the plan. I don't know if that's the plan or not. Yeah. That's just me speculating for that. I don't think they'll do a Deadpool 4 announcement that early, but I agree with you. I want them to fill these gaps in. I want to know what between now and Secret Wars is, and I want them to be completely honest, Mike, stick with the plan that they have. I don't feel the last plan when they gave us the big timeline that they were very confident in it, and I think things have changed. They're reacting to the changes. That's fine. It's perfectly fine. But I want a plan we can stick to, because when they come in and give us a plan and like half of it changes or doesn't happen or moves drastically, we're just left wanting for longer, and I don't know if that's a good feeling, right? So I'm excited to do that, and I think that's going to be a great weekend in July for us to really do that. So I hope you're here for it. Moving on to Deadpool and Wolverine. So first and foremost, there was a new trailer this week, and I'm only covering this trailer. This is a small 1-minute teaser trailer, and I don't want to cover trailers from here on out, Mike. I think we're done. This is the last one. But I have seen the image from this trailer so many times on so many social networks. I was like, fine, it's everywhere, it's saturated, we're going to cover it. And this one really confirms a rematch that is decades in the waiting, and it is the confirmation that Tyler Mane is coming back as Sabretooth for this movie. And this is Sabretooth from X-Men, the original X-Men. We haven't seen him since X-Men 1. And at the end of it, he kind of gets shot by lightning and flown away. So I don't know if this is him. And I notice he has really straight, flat teeth, not the fangs that he had in that movie. So they're not really doing anything with the teeth. But what is really funny about this is Deadpool hyping up Wolverine to do it as he pulls his own swords out of him, it looks like. This is like right after a fight Deadpool and Wolverine had. And Wolverine's still stabbed through with all the swords. And we can see Wade pull out everything and then a little bitty knife out of his shoulder as well. And I sent you
little baby knife.
And I sent you someone actually filmed this while they were recording it from very far away with a telephoto lens, showing how, like, when they were actually making this, what it looked like from, possibly miles away.
Was my favorite. That was my favorite part, actually. And you can see there's a little inconsistencies too. That just goes to show you they film everything multiple times to look for the best cut, the best actions. But yeah, this is exciting. We're getting closer. Like I was saying at the top of the show, Disney's got $1 billion box office hit. I got to imagine this is going to be another one as well. So with those two headlines over the summer, maybe next year during the summer when Superman comes back, we'll just kind of be back to the way the world should have always been with Hollywood, and nothing like sequels of sequels of sequels to do that for you.
IP, man, IP all day. I'm excited because I actually thought about, like, I have a viewing schedule with my wife to watch this the day it comes out. But I also have other people like, I want to watch it with you, Chris. I'm like, well, I can't take you on my first showing. But this is like the first movie in a long time I'll probably see multiple times in theaters with people. The last one I did was The Flash, and that wasn't because I wanted to. It's because I had a free pass to the first one. Watching it the second time was interesting to have no stakes in. So I'm excited to kind of go do that along the way. However, the other thing I sent Mike today was a new Deadpool popcorn and drink vessel. This is a double duty item that is coming out, and I love this. It is Deadpool's head on its side with his head, a big hole in his head where you put your popcorn, and then a little drink holder on the other end, like a hole in his neck. And this is wild if this is true.
There is a part of me where, bringing it back to the top of the show, where I'm worried, is this artificially generated? Is this AI? I'm not 100% sure. The first thing to notice is that this thing holds popcorn and also a soda can.
Yes.
Something traditionally we don't do here in the United States. I don't think I've ever seen a can of soda in a movie theater in my entire life. I've seen bottles for sure, but never cans. And if you kind of zoom in on the back of this Pepsi can, this is like an international popcorn bucket for sure. So I don't know if we're even going to be able to get it here in the United States. So maybe that's why. But this thing is really, really nice looking. Like this is like a high end kind of replica of Deadpool's head.
Yeah. So he's got like one eye wide open, one kind of squinting. My biggest concern is going to be that like this is like someone has made these like as a fan like productions, because the last image actually says Pepsi Soda Stream on the can. If you notice that. So my fear is like someone has photoshopped some cans into this. But like if this is true, I would love to get one and try this out, because I think this one is, I like this one, if I'm going to be honest, a little more than the Wolverine one. If I'm going to be completely honest, because the Wolverine one feels like hey, we saw what you did with the Dune bucket, we're going to duplicate it. And this one actually says, hey, we did something unique with the character along the way.
Man, I keep
feel
looking
real
at it, and I'm just like, is this real?
Yeah. Well,
like
the blood shining on the first image kind of looks like it doesn't blend in with the plastic very well.
Yeah, like it's an incredibly well done rendering. Like there's a chance it might not be AI. It could just be like a really thoughtful render. And since it's such shiny plastic in this environment, right, it kind of looks like it wouldn't really even be real, even if you photographed a real thing. Okay, the thing that's really kind of drawing me thinking it's not real. So the first two photos, if you look at the Pepsi can on the left, it just really doesn't look like it's actually there in the environment.
It looks shot. All the cans look shopped in, if I'm going to be transparent with you.
Yeah, but also at the same time, it's not like that would never be done to promote a real product, photoshopping props in, but also this isn't a photo shoot. This is on somebody's kitchen counter.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing I'm going to say, and we're probably talking ourselves out. Literally, all those cans say Soda Stream on them. Pepsi Soda Stream. Which is, I just did a Google. I cannot find a Pepsi can that says Soda Stream anywhere.
And also, when I'm looking here at the top-down shot into the popcorn bucket, that shadow inside of where the popcorn is supposed to go looks a little too uniform for real life. So Chris, I think we have talked ourselves out of this.
Damn it! Well, either way, hopefully someone sees this and says, "Yes, I want to make this."
Hey, you know what? I'm glad you put it in the show, because this just goes to show you, if popcorn buckets weren't taking off in popularity, no one would have gone out of their way to render a fake one and try to fake people. Which just goes back to, we need to do our definitive tier list of popcorn buckets at some point in time, because there's people out there that care about them.
And I've started this. Mike has seen the demo of this, so we are working on that. It's taking a little longer to do, but hopefully someone sees it. I want to see the one that we saw that was leaked from Regal, the one that's the shadow coming up. But, knowing that it's July, knowing that the 4th is coming, people will probably not be on social media through the end of the week. So I'm going to assume the 8th, starting next Monday, 2 Mondays from now, we'll be getting the good promotions through the end. All right, shifting gears into streaming for that. Agatha All Along has shown a new photo from the upcoming series starring Catherine Hahn, spinoff of WandaVision. And it's got five ladies on it. The group of covenless witches minus Deborah Jo Rupp, as you can see there in the back. Deborah Jo Rupp is currently starring in season 2 of that 90s show, which is on Netflix, I believe, going on there. So we get to see her. But the other ladies are different witches of different covens, but they're covenless, meaning they've been kicked out or exiled, and because of their beliefs along the way. But what's more interesting about the shot is they're working together to open up a trap door in a floor that's like got some nice big blue glow coming from it along the way. We've not seen anything other than the original teaser of this saying, the real name of the show is Agatha All Along. The episodes will be different. So I'm excited to get a little bit more of this as we kind of get into the fall season, Mike, to see what this show's about.
Yeah, this seems like it's ripe for, if D23 is truly going to be more streaming focused. I got to imagine this makes a bigger appearance there.
Yeah, D23. I'm pulling up the website to see. It is in August. So yeah, we're literally a month and a week away. Right, so we'll literally only get like a week in between, 2 weeks in between stuff. So very excited to see more of that. But I think Agatha All Along, of all the shows that has come out of the streaming and spinoffs, I'm excited about this one a little bit because Catherine Hahn is such a great actress. She's done so well. They brought a lot of people back, and to see possibly even the return of the Scarlet Witch is a possibility out of this as well. Avengers 5, which is previously Kang Dynasty, we're still going to call it Avengers 5 for now. The rumor is that the multiverse tree from Loki is the Infinity Stones for the upcoming Avengers film. So like the, I guess, power MacGuffin, if you will, is the tree, and whoever controls the multiverse tree controls the multiverse. And as we last saw in Loki season 2, which if you've not watched Loki season 2, I highly recommend you watch Loki season 2. I think that Loki as a series is great, and it'll also pay off for the multiverse. Loki controls it, but Loki's also, he says he's a god, but he's not immortal. Loki will eventually die, and either he's been killed before by Thanos, or maybe natural causes at the end of time, whatever. But someone is going to be trying to take control of the universal tree, Mike, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great pivot, if you will. I think I bring this up every time when we talk about Loki, is the TVA is the single most interesting thing happening in Marvel right now. We know through the trailers for Deadpool that the TVA is involved there as well. So we were already putting the TVA in the cinematic side of things. Yes, more of it. It's visually interesting. It's like a good kind of corporate structure to kind of wrap around this idea of multiverses. So instead of the multiverse just being this ethereal kind of hypothetical thing that you need like a sorcerer supreme to come in and try to explain to people, around like some sort of glowing mythical table and like an ancient book. You can go into like an office with like a computer monitor and someone says, this is what the multiverse is. See all these lines coming off of one line? We're trying to avoid this line here.
They also have the built-in thing of the Miss Minutes, right? They have Miss Minutes as like a narrator even. Like, bringing in Tara Strong to voice it. Like, that's a good way to exposition dump a little bit through an educational part of that. So I absolutely agree. The thing that they kind of have to find a way to fix and solve is, as we saw with the last season of Loki, Kang / Jonathan Majors is very integral into the very best thing happening in Marvel right now, the TVA. He's the one that created it. He's the one that, formed it, this ever-present being that exists in so many different formats. His like variants come back through it and play with it as well. So I'm curious how they're going to do that moving forward. I think this gets rid of him. I think they can say, well, whoever controls the tree controls it. Loki has been, keeping tabs on the King people. We don't have to worry about them too bad. They introduce whoever else is going to come in and control this. It could be Kang. It could be, obviously they don't have to do it, but I think if they want to say someone else finds out about the multiversal tree, they're trying to control it. That is a way to say we don't need Kang anymore. Whoever controls the tree controls the multiverse. It doesn't have to be Kang at the end of the day, or Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, I'm curious kind of where this tree exists like locationally, right? Like if it's whoever controls it controls the universe, well, how do you actually get to it then? Because the TVA kind of like exists in outer space, but not really. It's like its own dimension, but you can't just like walk into it. You need like a temp pad to get there. Maybe but Loki kind of walked outside the TVA and like walked into the tree. So it seems like there's a little bit of etherealness to where it actually is.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think we have Deadpool. They have the temp pads in Deadpool. They could also explain it a bit in that What If has had some opportunities to break outside of the multiverse, right? Like even I think the first season had Ultron or whatever it was, Infinity Ultron break out of the multiverse. So I think there's opportunities to do that pretty easily. And even so, I mentioned What If simply because the other notes here that these films, the Avengers films, will include the live action versions of Captain Carter and Kahori from What If as well. So we've already had Captain Carter in Doctor Strange. Kahori was introduced in the last season as someone who's powered by the Cosmic Cube / Tesseract, I guess, in the MCU. So there's ways to do it. I think that to do it along the way, the TVA does have the TIM pads to get in, and I feel like they could whoever is strong enough or powerful enough that they chooses the villain to take that over would be one. But again, this is rumors, but I think this would be a good way to fix a lot of the issues or concerns we have with surrounding Jonathan Majors being removed from Marvel and their King problem if they need to get rid of him throughout the way. The other news out of Kevin Feige himself, Mike, is that the Fantastic Four is confirmed to be set in the 1960s in a different universe, and this allows the studio to showcase multiverses in full effect rather than just samplings of them like we got in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So
yeah, I think we kind of, we postulated that, when we were looking at a lot of the concept art of like, oh, this futuristic city in the background doesn't look like it existed in our normal mainline universe, right?
Yep.
I think this is fine as long as the Fantastic Four kind of eventually folds into one grander universe. I don't need a DC situation where I have like a Joker universe, a Matt Reeves Batman universe, and then like a James Gunn universe, and we kind of just like bounce around and tell whatever we need to tell by whatever is the most successful, critically or at the box office. Like, I like the one universe. I want a sandbox where all of my action figures can play together. I don't have to get up and walk over to somebody else's yard and play in that sandbox, Yep. So I would think this is more of an interesting creative solution of like, how do we kind of take these retro kind of characters at their core, start them in their own place, and then move them someplace else later? Yeah. If it's Secret Wars, that's fine. If it's temp pads, that's fine.
It'll be Secret Wars. I mean, temp pads. I think it'll be Secret Wars because I think you introduce them here, give them their powers, set them up in their own world, and then in their next movie, Fantastic Four, after they've merged in, they're fish out of water, right? Obviously existing from the different things. I think it gives some interesting stories to tell because after watching some of the more Fantastic Four movies recently, I'm just like, oh, they're very boring. They're too sciencey for their own universes sometimes. So I would love to see it. So I don't think it's. I agree with you. It needs to be one. And I don't think it'll be a Joker situation. I think they'll be like, oh, this is the Fantastic Four. This is in this numbered universe only for their movie, and then we'll merge them into it. And maybe even by the end of their movie, their post-credit scene is a scene that breaks them into there. Kind of like how the Marvels had Spectrum, whatever her name was, Monica Rambeau, I believe, in the other universe at the end of hers, right, where she met Beast and the alternate version of her mom. So, I think they're going to be playing with that. And then we have that because I like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, but you really only got small dippings of other universes, right? Like, oh, here's a dead universe, or here's the what was Bruce Campbell's character's name?
The Pizza Ball universe.
Yeah, the Pizza Ball universe, the Pizza Papa, right? He's hitting himself, kind of thing. So it'd be great to really really stop a little bit and explore one multiverse. Not Fantastic. Black Panther 3 is story is being worked on. And the current rumor is that T'Challa's son will take over the Black Panther mantle probably maybe end of the movie of Black Panther 3 because Shuri is a reluctant superhero. But between her, Okoye, and Nakia are raising T'Challa's son to kind of become the rightful king, right? Like we saw in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Shuri doesn't want anything to do with the throne. So she gives it up to, what's his name? Winston Duke's character.
Yeah, the mountain, the
Jabari tribe, the Jabari tribe.
Yeah.
So they give it to him. So she's doing this. So I think they're working on that story to transition the mantle down into T'Challa's son as well. I honestly hadn't had much time or energy to even focus on Black Panther 3, but they do probably need to wrap that up, or at least transition to someone who can play the role maybe more full time.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, do we remember the age of the kid? I'm just trying to think whenever this movie gets made, how old will the character be that's taking over the mantle, right?
He was like 10 or something, I think, in the other one or so.
Yeah, and that movie came out
9 or 10.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah, so I mean, if we kind of wait long enough, they can fudge the timeline, a little bit. Things move a little bit faster in this universe sometimes than it does in real life. Just see any of the Spider-Man movies where that timeline shifts around. Yeah, I think that by the time they get a third one going, this kid could kind of be in the
teens,
maybe 16, 15-year-old range. And then of course, they don't have to stick with the same, actor. There's enough time there where visually you could, shift it to. So I think you brought up a good point, Chris, of at least between the two of us, we don't really think a whole lot about that Black Panther sequel. And I'm okay with them shifting things up a little bit for a third one.
Yeah, I'm just going to go. I have nothing against the second one. It's just emotionally draining as a movie, right? Dealing with the passing of Chadwick Boseman and like they deal with it in the movie and everything else. And it's just emotionally draining. But it, much like the Chapek era stuff, there's not been any real effect, no ripples of any of those films. So we need to feel some of those ripples sooner or later, especially if it has Namor, who is an underwater state, and we have a celestial sticking out of the ocean. Mike, we gotta wrap that up pretty quick. Hopefully we get that soon. Spider-Man 4, yet another rumor here. I don't know what this movie's probably on a whiteboard still. They're still scripting it out, but the rumor is that Sydney Sweeney is being eyed to play the Black Cat in this movie, and we will also see the return of Daredevil, Kingpin, and Paul Rudd's Ant-Man. Don't know how Ant-Man fits in here, but that's fine. He's always a welcome addition. But Black Cat has never really been officially met in a live-action Spider-Man movie. She was played by it's not Felicity is her character's name, but she's played by the Rogue One actress briefly in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but never really seen her come to fruition. I think this would be a great time to introduce new Spider-Man characters, as we've talked about to death on the show.
Yeah, I mean, Sydney Sweeney is at the top of her game in Hollywood. Performance-wise, I mean, the last time we saw her in a comic book thing, it was Madam Web, but we all know that was a strategic move for her to get other films.
And that was with Sony made. As well, so she could have a good in with Sony to be like, look, I did your shitty movie, give me something good, kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. Get me out of this web of madams. Get me into a proper Spider-Man movie. I mean, it would make sense. I mean, she's got the star power, I'm curious how this Barbarella movie is going to shake out that she wants to make too. She seems like she's getting to the point in her career where she maybe would rather make her own franchises than be kind of second fiddle in another one. But no, you bring up a good point. It makes sense to finally get Black Cat on the docket, maybe a chameleon character. We've kind of already seen versions of Hydro, even though kind of it wasn't, but it was drones being projected. But yeah, there's a lot of rogues galleries that we haven't really seen yet.
Well, think of the most recent games, Tombstone, and that whole what was the other guy, Hammerhead, I think was his name as well. Like a lot of those ground level mafia dudes that Spider-Man has dealt with that we don't really get a lot of. So if Daredevil, Kingpin, and again Ant-Man, can't wrap my finger around this one yet, are in there, they would be interesting. But obviously, if Sydney Sweeney wants to play Black Cat, we know people don't remember that he is Spider-Man, and they don't remember who Peter Parker is, so he doesn't have a relationship. And the Black Cat relationship's always been interesting for Spider-Man. I think would be the time to introduce that along the way. But hopefully we get some announcements at San Diego Comic-Con. Again, this is a Sony movie, so do not expect it to come out of the Marvel panel. But if they do come out of the Marvel panel, I will be very surprised and be very happy. So we'll cross our fingers. Moving on to the last bit, Venom: The Last Dance is coming out later this fall, and I wanted to bring this up because they have said recently that this movie will mention or make note of Null, the god of the symbiotes. Now, are you familiar with Null in his recent, I guess, appearances in comic books?
He's the one that often has like that sword, right? That symbiote,
the all black, kind of,
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one way to go. I mean, these movies have always been kind of like off the rails, just in any sort of like story.
It also
might as well.
Yeah, well, Null he can control the symbiotes, and what we saw in the trailer at least is like one of the looks like a symbiote eater kind of thing was coming to Earth. And it looks like other things are coming to Earth out of space. So maybe he sent them there to find the leftover symbiotes because it looked like the government even had several. So maybe he's after them or plans to take over the world or something. I don't know. But Null is a very, very popular Marvel character. And if Sony has the rights to him, they should include him, but I don't think he'll be a main character. I think it will be more of a, a flashback or like a, hey, this is what the life was like on our original symbiote planet kind of thing.
Maybe Knowles, the third act, comes out of nowhere and he has to fight him. Really go out on top with this last dance.
I would love to see Null there, because the way he can control all of the symbiotes, and like his look is just visually stunning. So because he's not a symbiote, he's a person, and that's the most interesting thing you could do in a Venom movie, is make him not fight a symbiote at this point. So there's that. The rumor from the scoopers are that Riss Ifans is a new character and not a Kurt Connors variant, simply because he doesn't look the same. He looks like a hippie in a van. So I would say it'd be more bold to make him a Kurt Connors variant, but I guess we're not going to get that the boldness here on the way out for that. So that's fine with me. For Venom when it comes out, and I think October later this year. But Mike, that is the end of the show. That's our show for the week. So thank you for making the time for being over here. But if people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
Oh, they can read my web comics at liferewardsrisk.com and pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where are ya?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN, or here every week on the show. And if people know more about the show, where they can listen to us, get them episode goodies, where can they find that at?
Oh, all you got to do is visit superheroslate.com. We are on other places too.
Everywhere you listen
Apple
to podcasts.
Yeah. YouTube, Spotify, wherever. I don't know. Does anybody know what a website is anymore? A .com. We have one. We're there. We got our RSS feed plugged into wherever we can get it. Superhero Slate. Just Google it. I don't know. Maybe Gemini will give you an AI recommendation.
Yeah, but you're already listening to it. You're already listening to it, so hopefully not. If not, just smash that subscribe button or follow button. It's follow, because we are free. You don't have to pay to listen to us.
That's
so
true.
You follow us.
We just give it out for free. Talk about a value in your life. Prices of everything going up. You know what? Price Superhero Slate remains the same.
Still free. Still free. We're like the is it Arizona tea? No. Who's the tea that never changes price? Is it
it's the Arizona tea.
Yeah, we're the Arizona tea of podcasts, if you will.
Yeah, I think they just don't want to change their printing process. Yeah. They fired their graphic designer. They don't know how to change the .99 to like $1.99.
Literally earlier today I was drinking the Arizona hard iced teas, and it's the same design, but it just has the word hard on it. So absolutely, they've really reduced some costs there overall.
Yeah, but we got merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Reach out. Let us know what video games you're playing this summer to get out of the sun. Love to know if anybody's slogging away with the Elden Ring expansion. Reach out. Let us know. We love our super fans of the show. If you want to be a super fan, all you got to do, share the show with a buddy, share the show with a friend, and we will be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week.